The biggest mistake people make with XRP, letting emotions take over their buying and selling decisions. When it comes to investing, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. The truth is, those who stay consistent and hodl tend to outperform those who let emotions drive their moves or try to outsmart the market by timing buys and sells. Sure, you might get lucky a few times, maybe string together some wins, but all it takes is one bad move to undo everything, and who needs that kind of stress? Ask yourself, do you really want to add more pressure by second-guessing your decisions in a market as dynamic as crypto? Do you want to risk being your own weak link, or does it make more sense to step back, stay steady, and avoid becoming a hurdle in your own success? Here's the thing, crypto isn't slowing down. This asset class is only going to keep growing. So why not focus on playing the long game? It's less stressful, and in the long run, it just makes sense. If you have good exposure in the market, you're setting yourself up to win. Seriously, with enough exposure, you're in a great position. Of course, there are ways to mess that up too, like dumping all your money into endless pointless meme coins. Let's be real, those might be fun now, but let's check back on them in 10, 15, or 20 years and see how they're doing. But if you're playing it smart and investing in coins with real world applications, ones that actually solve problems, then you're on the right track. Over time, as the market grows, those coins will grow too. And when that happens, you win. It's as simple as that. I wanted to share these thoughts because we're at a point where I know some people, probably newer investors, are starting to panic. It happens every cycle. History repeats itself, and people make the same emotional decisions again and again. Some folks will sell off out of fear. It's inevitable. Before we dive in, I want to be upfront. I don't have a financial background, and this isn't financial advice. Seriously, don't make any buying or selling decisions based on anything I say or write. Now, here's what got me thinking about this. I just watched the latest video from the blockchain backer. It's the one from this morning titled XRP price chart nears range ending as altcoin market waits for the trigger with Bitcoin. There was a particular point he made that really caught my attention, and I wanted to share some thoughts on it with you. This is definitely worth talking about because let's face it, we can often be our own worst enemies when it comes to investing. The blockchain backer pointed out all the ups and downs we've been through, and it's true. Those ups and downs have been an emotional roller coaster for XRP holders, not just in past market cycles, but even now. And honestly, it's still happening. XRP has been in consolidation mode since hitting its all-time high of $3.40 back in January, and that's pretty clear to see. While it's definitely been volatile, this consolidation phase isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's actually a normal part of the process. That said, it can still be tough for some people to stick it out. There have been plenty of moments since then where optimism was high and it really felt like XRP was about to break out again. But then just as quickly, it would drop back down, leaving XRP holders feeling frustrated, impatient, and even a bit hopeless at times. It's an emotional roller coaster for sure, but it's all part of the journey. The market lately has been a wild ride, hasn't it? Over the past 6 months or so, it's been swinging back and forth like crazy. One minute, there's so much optimism, and the next, it feels like all hope is lost. It really messes with people's emotions. It's just human nature. In his latest video, he talked about how these constant ups and downs can wear people out. Eventually, some investors just can't take it anymore. They give up because it's simply too much to handle. But here's the ironic part. When everyone who's willing to sell finally throws in the towel, that's when the market hits its real bottom. And from there, that's when the breakout to the upside happens. Funny how that works, right? He explained all this so well. And honestly, it's such an important point to understand. That's why I wanted to share this. It's a huge takeaway that anyone navigating the market right now should keep in mind. He pointed out that what's happening right now feels a lot like 2017 all over again. And honestly, it really does. Think about it. Back in 2017, after XRP's initial surge from half a penny to over 40 cents in the first half of the year, it started moving sideways for about 6 months. During that time, there were so many false breakouts and breakdowns that it emotionally drained a lot of people. It really happened. On top of that, while XRP was stuck in this sideways pattern, other coins were breaking out, which only added to the frustration. It's frustrating because for half a year, XRP just bounced around within a specific range, volatile, sure, but still not making any big moves forward. That kind of prolonged sideways action can really mess with people's confidence. And that's the reality of what we're seeing again now. Back in 2017, a lot of people found themselves regretting their decision to buy and hold XRP. Why? Because they started thinking, what if I had invested in something else instead? I could have made so much more money during that time. It's a common mindset. Second, guessing your choices when it feels like there was a better option out there. Sound familiar, folks? In 2025, that same thought process was happening back then too. If only I had bought that other thing instead of this one. It's easy to get caught up in the could have, should have game. That's just how our brains work sometimes. It's totally normal to feel a bit frustrated when the coins you're holding aren't taking off, especially when others in the market are skyrocketing. But honestly, it happens with any coin. It's just the nature of the game. Think about it. How many people regretted not holding XRP back when it broke out in November 2024 and it hit an all-time high in January? Imagine holding something that was just moving sideways, or worse, going down, and thinking, why didn't I just buy XRP instead of this? But that's how the markets work, right? It's a roller coaster, and emotions can really mess with your perspective. So don't beat yourself up if one of your coins isn't breaking out. Sometimes that kind of thing just happens. It's part of the game. The best approach is to stay broadly invested in the market and avoid making decisions based on short-term swings or emotions. It's easier said than done, but it's key. That being said, there's always that moment when the market finally breaks down to its lowest point, and from there things take off. It always happens eventually. I still vividly remember this happening back in 2017. It's a moment I'll never forget. I've talked about it a few times on my channel over the years because it really stuck with me. I got into crypto back in November 2017 and bought my first XRP on November 17th. From there, I dove headfirst into research mode. Seriously, I was spending hours every single day learning everything I could. I was completely hooked. Early on, I was still trying to figure out if XRP actually made sense. I found it fascinating from the start, but I wanted to dig deeper and really test it out. So I threw every possible argument at it, even the kitchen sink, to see if it held up. I still remember watching a YouTuber in mid-December 2017, and that moment stuck with me. I'm not sure who this guy was. I wish I did. I don't even know if he's still making content, but I remember watching this video of his. He was at a playground, maybe helping his kid or something, and just made a quick video to share his thoughts. The playground part really stuck with me. He was talking about holding XRP for such a long time and how the opportunity cost had been a huge waste. He mentioned how he could have invested in other coins that ended up taking off, but because XRP didn't perform or follow the timeline he hoped for, he eventually gave up. He got impatient and decided to sell. And I'm not even kidding. Just 2 or 3 days later, XRP started skyrocketing. This guy had literally just told the world he was done with XRP, sold it, and everyone who saw that video knew it. It's a classic rookie mistake that happens all the time. And honestly, people are going to keep making the same mistake this year. Here's the thing. We've got decades of trading history to learn from, a century of stock market trends, 16 years of crypto price data, and over a decade of XRP price action, all showing us the same thing. Human behavior doesn't change. The data is right there for anyone to see, but somehow people still fall into the same pattern. Hopefully, most of you have already learned this by now, but even with all the information out there, some people still don't take it in. And here's the thing, even if they do, it doesn't always lead to a change in behavior. People still make emotional buying and selling decisions sometimes, even when it's not the smartest move. That's just how it is. I wanted to share this with you now because it's exactly what's happening at this very moment, and I think it's important to talk about. Right now, it feels like we're in a similar spot to December 2017. Back then, there was this YouTuber who got impatient and decided to sell. He missed out big time. Why? Because he went chasing after something else, probably something that had already pumped, which is what so many people do. And wouldn't you know it, the thing he sold took off right after. It's a classic case of impatience, and it happens all the time. Right now, it feels like we're in that same kind of moment. People have been through a lot, getting beaten down by the market. But if you've been around for a while, like me, maybe you're not feeling as shaken. Maybe you've learned a thing or two by now. And hey, even with XRP sitting where it is right now, if you're like me and your average buy price was around 25 cents, you're probably feeling pretty good with XRP sitting above $2. Just saying. So maybe you're in that same boat, but I also get it. There are a lot of new folks out there who might not know this yet, which is another reason I wanted to make this video. Yeah. Here's the thing. We're in a period that feels a lot like the end of 2017. Now, we can't know for sure if what seems like a price breakout is the real deal or just a fake out. Anytime XRP starts moving up, there's always that uncertainty. That said, if history has taught us anything, it's that it tends to rhyme with itself. And if that's the case, we probably won't have to wait too much longer to find out That's why I wanted to share this with you. Oh, and check out what's on your screen right now. That's all of XRP's price action in 2025. Just take a look at this. It's all over the place. You can see how this kind of volatility can really throw people off, especially if they're not used to this kind of roller coaster. Let's break it down. It started the year at $2.25, then skyrocketed to its all-time high of $3.40 on January 16th. Pretty exciting, right? But then it dropped. Fast forward just a couple of weeks, and by February 2nd, it closed as low as $2.17. Ouch. Now imagine if you bought in closer to $3.00, you'd probably be feeling pretty rough about that drop. But hey, that's the nature of the game. Trust me, I've been there. I bought XRP back in 2017. After the bubble burst, I had no clue where the bottom was. I started dollar cost averaging sometime during the summer, and my XRP journey goes all the way back to 2018. That's when the price dropped from its all-time high to around 55 cents, and I decided to jump in. From there, I just kept buying over and over, even as the price kept dropping, held on through the tough times too. I didn't sell when it dipped below 10 cents in March 2020, and I even managed to snag some at 15 cents, the lowest I've ever bought it. Honestly, I bought XRP at higher prices and stayed in the red for years at a time. So trust me, if you're feeling like you're the only one riding out a tough investment, you're not alone. When you buy crypto, it's a good idea to assume that at some point, its value might drop below what you paid for it. That's just the nature of the game. But overall, crypto tends to trend upward over time, assuming you're not investing in complete junk. The crypto market is growing, so if you've chosen a solid investment, there's no need to stress about the big picture. In the short term, though, let's be real, you probably didn't buy at the absolute rock bottom. Almost no one does. It's super rare, so don't beat yourself up about it. So earlier this year, dropped from its all-time high down to $2.17. But then about 2 weeks later, it bounced back up to $2.81. And that got everyone feeling optimistic, like this is it. We're finally going to see it take off. But then it dipped again. By the end of February, around the 28th, it fell all the way down to $2.00. But wait, here we go again. It shot up to $2.77. And the excitement came rushing back. People were thinking, this is the moment. Even Trump mentioned something about XRP, which added to the buzz. But then once again, it dropped around March 10th. It was back down to $2.00. The roller coaster continued, though, up, down, and back again. Take a look at this journey. Seriously, just look at it. You can see how this kind of thing really messes people up, right? When you break it down, it's clear how it can leave people feeling frustrated or overwhelmed. And even if they're not completely falling apart emotionally, a lot of it comes down to impatience. People start thinking about all the opportunity costs, like, oh, these other coins are moving and I'm just sitting here waiting. We've all been there. But here's the thing. You never really know when something big is going to happen. That's why having exposure is so important. It's simply either you're in when it happens or you're not. I get it. It's not the most exciting answer. It's not flashy, but it works. It really does. And yeah, it sounds easy, right? Just buy something and then leave it alone. But in reality, that's not so simple for most people. It actually takes a lot of discipline to stop yourself from constantly tinkering with your positions or jumping in and out because you think you know better. Trust me, it's a skill worth learning. So let's break this down. On March 19, it was at $2.53. But if we look back to February 7, it closed at $1.76. And at one point, it even dropped as low as $1.61. That's a pretty big dip, losing more than half its value from its all-time high, even if only briefly. But here's the interesting part. Things started to pick up again. By the end of April, it climbed back up to $2.31. Then there was a slight drop to $2.09 around May 6th, but it bounced back again. You can really see the ups and downs, but there's definitely some optimism in how it's been recovering. Look at that. It's up again. Now it's sitting at $2.61. Pretty exciting, right? You could feel the hope building. This could really take off. But hey, let's be real. Today it did dip down to $2.09. And honestly, that doesn't matter. None of those little ups and downs really matter. Here's the deal. Either we're right and this thing is going to take off on an incredible, mind-blowing journey at some point in the future, or we're wrong and it goes to zero. It's as simple as that. And you know where I'm placing my bet. Honestly, being optimistic just makes sense here. XRP's fundamentals have never been stronger. If something is fundamentally strong, do you really think people are just going to abandon it, especially when it's so useful? Of course not. And the truth is, it's only getting stronger over time. If you believe otherwise, that's fine, but I definitely don't. I see the entire ecosystem growing and improving every day. That's why I'm confident the market price will eventually catch up to the fundamental value. XRP, for example, has been held back for years by attacks, especially from the SEC, but that's all behind us now. Sure, there's still the appeal process to wrap up, but the big fight is over. XRP now has legal clarity, and it feels like the tide is finally turning for crypto. This administration seems to have declared that the war on crypto is over, and honestly, things are shaping up way better than anyone could have imagined so far. Of course, we still need Congress to keep moving forward with pro-crypto legislation, but the progress we've seen is incredible. Here's the exciting part. This pro-crypto approach is setting us up for massive opportunities. The adoption we're seeing is coming from the largest capital market on the planet, and that's huge. We're incredibly lucky to be part of this moment. XRP in particular stands out as one of the most useful cryptocurrencies in history. Its adoption keeps growing, and it's proving itself as a powerful tool for payments. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to do what feels right for you. But let me tell you, the biggest mistake people make with XRP is letting impatience and emotions take over. Seriously, it's so common, but think about it. You're holding on to what might just be the most obvious early winner in the entire crypto space. That's what XRP is. Right now, most of the world hasn't caught on yet, but they will. Fast forward a decade, and people are going to look back at this moment and wish they had seen what you already know about XRP. We're in a really fortunate position here, and I truly believe that, sure, it might take a little longer than we'd all like. History tends to repeat itself, so maybe this cycle stretches out a bit more than the last one or the one before that. But the idea that XRP has already peaked this cycle, honestly, I find that really hard to believe. You know what? Even if that's how it plays out, I'm not stressing. I'm sticking with my XRP, been holding it for 7.5 years now. I spent years dollar cost averaging, and I'm in it for the long haul. When the market bounces back, whether it's next year or even 5 years from now, I'll still be here. That's how you win, by staying patient and sticking to your plan. Most people struggle with patience. They give up too soon. But if you can outlast the ups and downs, you're already ahead of the game. I like to think of myself as a little baby black bear sometimes, just hanging in there during tough times. That's the vibe I get when I see some of the stuff people post on X. You can either take it personally and get frustrated, or you can step back, be patient, and play the long game. That's my approach. I don't get to control everything, but it's okay. Worst case, the cycle ends and I just have to wait for the next one. Big deal, right? I can live with that. I'm an adult and I know my time will come. During the bear market, I'll keep working, keep earning, and keep picking up opportunities at better prices. When the market bounces back, everything I've invested in will be worth even more. That's how I see it. And honestly, it works for me. The key is controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. Don't stress about the rest. Just roll with it. Oh, and just to be clear, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't make big financial decisions based on what I say. That would be a terrible idea. So please do your own research.